Our guest speaker today is Brother Hamza Yusuf Hansen. He came back to Islam in 1978. He was educated in 1980 to 84 at the Islamic Institute of Ailment in the United Arab Emirates. In 1984, he studied in Algeria at Bilal ibn Rabah in Tirzi. In 1985 to 86, he was at the Madrasa al-Hajj in Mauritania. He studied Arabic and the traditional Islamic studies during this period. From 1987 to 1990, he took a degree in nursing and English in Southern California. And while studying homeopathic medicine during this time, he was also presently studying postgraduate work as a student of homeopathy with the Devon School of Homeopathy. Presently, Brother Hamza is involved in teaching Arabic, Islamic jurisprudence, and he's the acting Imam Khatib at the Muslim Community Association of the Bay Area in Santa Clara, California. In addition to the Quran, Tafsir, and Khutbah at the South Bay Islamic Center, Brother Hamza travels nationwide and lectures at universities and Islamic centers, and he's now engaged in writing a book about the Dajjal and the New World Order. So we have indeed great pleasure in welcoming Brother Hamza Yusuf in our midst to Toronto, and to be with us this evening and to address us on this occasion. And we would be happy to have him and to pay attention to what he has to say and listen and leave here with some new knowledge of Islam which we didn't have before. Again, I ask parents to please keep their children quiet while we listen to Brother Hamza. Brother Hamza.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. فإني أحمد الله إليكم وأوصيكم وأوصي نفسي بتقوى الله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this ummah a gift that was not given to any ummah before it, and that is the preservation of the deen until the end of time. And inshallah, what the topic that I was asked to talk about was the Islamic medicine or the Quranic medicine for the ailments of the North American society. And I think that was based on a talk that I gave at the ISNA conference, which was a similar topic. It was called America's Problems, Islamic Solutions. And I looked at that topic and made the remark that I didn't think that Islam was a solution to the problem, because I think that it's an alien vocabulary to the Islamic teaching. And the reason for that is that problems, when solutions are found for them, if they're implemented, they tend to disappear immediately. Whereas the Quranic language talks about the Quran being a shifa, a healing, and it talks about the disease in the hearts, fi qulubihim marad, فَزَادَهُمْ اللَّهُ مَرَضًا. So the idea of the healing that takes place is that it's one, transformative, that two, that there's an indication of time, because there are very few diseases that you can actually have a spontaneous cure from. In fact, I can't recall any off the top of my head. Most diseases take time in order to come about, and then they take time to heal. If you look at the diseases of the Arabian Peninsula, at the time when the Prophet ﷺ arrived there, then you will see that there was a period of 23 years where the Prophet ﷺ was administering the medicine of Islam to a sick and diseased society. And his mission, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was not complete until he had left that society intact and integral in its own self. So a diseased body became well and then was able subsequently to go out and literally heal the world. Because the nature of Islam is that it is a healing. And the nature of the Muslims is that they are healers. That they take the light of Islam to the darkness of the world and dispel that darkness by the light of Islam. And the light itself, we heard earlier the ayat al-nur, the light verse, the light itself is the healing. It is the transformation, because the disease is darkness. The disease is ignorance. And it is the light of Islam that dispels that disease, which is darkness, which is ignorance. The way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does that is clarified in the teachings of Islam. And in order just to look, one of the unfortunate aspects of the diseases of the American society, and I'll speak American by extension, the Canadian society as well, that is that all right to do that? Maybe not in Montreal, I don't know. That the sicknesses of this society no longer, you see, impact on the society itself. But these sicknesses are now exported all over the world. This is the tragedy of our time, is that kufr is no longer isolated in what is called Dar al-Harb. You see, the traditional Muslims had this worldview that was very nice. They had Dar al-Islam and Dar al-Harb. They had the abode of Islam, which was the abode of peace, Dar al-Salam, and they had Dar al-Harb, which was the abode of the war. Because the idea being that when Islam comes, there's peace. Our greeting is Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. The Prophet ﷺ said, أَلَا أَدُلُّكُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ إِن فَعَلْتُمُوهُ تَحَابَبْتُمْ فِي اللَّهِ. Can I tell you something that if you do it, then you'll love each other in Allah? And they said yes, and he said, Afshu salam, spread peace. Spread peace. I mean, if you say Assalamu alaikum, either it's just lip service, which is what we call a munafiq, or you're telling somebody peace on you, you see. Now the Muslim, they say Assalamu alaikum, and then the sledgehammer comes right after that, right? What they really mean is Silam alaikum, which is like the heavy rock on you, right? So Islam is about spreading peace. And when you spread peace, war, right, which is the opposite of peace, which is kufr, you see, kufr is a state of war with Allah. You're at war with Allah. Islam is a state of peace with Allah. The Quran says that that the one that makes riba, right, who transacts in riba, in usury, is making war, that Allah has declared war and His messenger. بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَآذَنْ بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. That Allah has declared war and His messenger on those who make riba, usury. And so the Prophet ﷺ said on the Yawm al-Qiyamah that the angel will give the murabi, the usurer, right, the banker now, in modern terms, the banker, right? It used to be the murabi or the usurer, now it's the banker, right? He'll give the banker the sword, right? President of Bank of America, Citicorp, all these nice corporations that are helping more and more people get into slavery and indentured servitude, right? In California, they have this big propaganda. It says, Bank of America, we've helped more Californians, right? They never tell you what they helped them do. They just say, we've helped more. Or Bank of America, we're banking on America, right, to go bankrupt. Because we're the ones that are, right, putting everybody in debt. So on that day, right, Yawm al-Qiyamah, Yawm al-Adala, the day of justice, right, the murabi gets the sword and the angel says, Ha Rabbuka barizhu. Here's your Lord. Now go to war. Huh? See how long he lasts. Right? That's the Murabi. So that's the nature of kufr, is that it used to be isolated in Dar al-Harb. Now, Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Islam are no longer, right? We're in now Dar al-Islam, here in this gymnasium. Right? Islamic basketball, inshallah. And next door is Dar al-Harb, right? Now in the Muslim countries, I don't know, what do you call it? We don't even have terminology anymore. The fuqaha, if they exist anymore, but the ones that do are so confused now. They don't know where's Dar al-Harb, where's Dar al-Islam, where's Dar al-Sulh. It's all become confused. Nothing's clear. The Prophet ﷺ said towards the end of time, he said, يُصْبِحُ الْحَلِيمُ حَيْرَانًا, that the one with hilm, the one with forbearance and intelligence, sagacity, will become confused, will become bewildered. That's the nature of the time we're living in, is a time of hayra. It's a time of bewilderment. It's a time when people are confused, you see. This is the nature of the age we're living in. And so things are no longer clear. Kufr enters into our homes by our own hand. We turn on the television and we allow kufr to permeate the home, you see. Kufr is all over the Muslim world now. They have huge satellite discs, and they bring dhabdhabat kufriya, right? These electromagnetic microwaves, kufr microwaves, from these satellites that are floating around the earth. And they bring them into their homes. So their little abode, right, which could be technically their Dar al-Islam, because your house is your Dar al-Islam. That's at least, if you're Rabb al-Manzil, if you're the Lord of the house, then at least you can implement Sharia in your home. But now, the enemy is actually welcomed inside, you see. It's not, his name isn't Abu Jahl anymore, or, right, these Fir'aun, or Qarun and Harun, and these type, Jalut. He's got names like Samsonite, or Sharp, or Sony, right? These are the new Samsung, right? Aiwa, that's the Japanese said. How do they say yes in Arabic? They say Aiwa. Okay, well, let's call it Aiwa, and then if they ask for something, right, at the souk, right, you say, oh, do you want this one? Aiwa. Oh, he wants Aiwa. So they go get Aiwa, right, and sell them an Aiwa television. So this is what we're dealing with. It's gone crazy. The whole world's gone insane. So nothing's clear. And America is really become the source of it. You see, it used to be Europe, right? It used to be Europe. But Europe threw the football to America. They said, listen, we're about to be tackled by all these countries that we've colonized and tyrannized for the last 60 years. So let's give the ball to somebody that hasn't had any, they're actually free. They were colonized at one time by us. Now they're free, and they're the democratic beacon of the world. So they threw the ball to New York, and New York took over the game. So this is what's happened. So America now is importing all of these things. But the Americans, it's like the Avis, I think it's Avis, we try harder, right? The Americans have this thing called quality assurance, and it's kufr with a smile, you see. That's have a nice day. That's what the Americans do. You see, they colonize you with a smile. Like the British and the French and all these other, they came down with their gunboats and blew people to bits and pieces. And the Americans came in and have a nice day, right? And before you knew it, they controlled all the natural resources and everything else. And they do it in really nice ways, so people feel like they're having a nice day, right? Sitting in their Aramco office in their swivel chair, or wherever they are, I don't know.